All right, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. So, Ravens, we got to talk. Boy, do we have to talk. It's time. You need to get this done. If you let this situation linger into the regular season, it will continue to be a consistent topic of discussion, and it will be very difficult for you guys moving forward. Of course, I'm talking about the Lamar Jackson contract situation. This is something we've been discussing since last year. You know, we knew this was coming up, and eventually the Ravens had to find a way to get a deal done. Last year, there were talks about it. Nothing happened. This offseason, we believed it was going to happen. All throughout the offseason, nothing. Getting all the way here to training camp, still nothing. The regular season is about to get started. Lamar Jackson has already said his cutoff time for negotiations is week 1. Now, with that, he never specified which part did he mean of week 1. Did he mean week 1 in terms of the day of the game, Sunday, or week 1 as in when they get back and officially start? Because the Ravens just completed their final practice. They completed that yesterday. Training camp's officially done. They will have the next several days off. They were off today. They're not practicing tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday. When they come back into the facility Monday, it's go time. They are officially starting. They are starting their preparations for week 1 against the Jets. So Monday is really when the season starts. And at that point, it's preparations for week 1. Now, Lamar Jackson, of course, he's focused on playing football. He's trying to win a championship. So I don't think he would want to talk about contracts while he's trying to prepare to go up against the Jets in week 1. So it's very possible that his week 1 cutoff is this Monday, because week 1 basically gets started on Monday. Every team's out there practicing and making preparations for their week 1 opponent. And we will be doing the same thing too. When those players walk into that facility on Monday, they are all zoned in, ready to go against the Jets, ready to prepare for the Jets. That's the focus. So if that is the case and Lamar's cutoff is Monday, I don't know. Maybe it's stretched out throughout the rest of that week. Maybe it's all the way until game time. So maybe they have until Saturday, the Saturday before the game, to be able to do this. I do not know. But Lamar Jackson said his cutoff is week 1. And we're basically approaching week 1 here. So I believe the Ravens have 3 days left. They have 3 days left to get this contract extension done. Tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. By the time Monday comes, it's go time. Everyone's focus is on the Jets week 1 at MetLife Stadium. So if that is the case and Lamar does cut it off on Monday, that means the Ravens really do have 3 days. Not to mention, when Lamar is preparing to go up against the Jets in week 1, he's not going to be focusing on the contract. So really, these next 3 days are crucial. There's no practice. There's no practice. So you have all the time in the world. You have 72 hours to sit down and figure this situation out. Obviously, they're not going to be sitting there for the whole entire 72 hours, but you're going to have 3 days to try and get this situation done. Now, of course, Lamar, he's representing himself. He doesn't need an agent. He knows what he's looking for. I'm pretty sure he's probably put down what he's looking for and what he wants to get from this. And that's where the discussions have been and what they've been trying to figure out. Lamar, I don't expect him to change his numbers. He shouldn't. Okay, he deserves his money. Pay the man what he deserves. Okay, he's an MVP. He's an all-pro quarterback. He's taken his team to the playoffs every season he's been healthy. Hell, last season, if he would have still been on the field, despite the fact that that team was basically in a morgue, they were done. So many injuries. We were a hospital team. And he was still carrying this squad, which is why he was in the MVP conversation last year. He was still carrying this team. And in December, we were the number 1 seed in the AFC. Then he goes down, season's done. We don't win another game moving forward. So Lamar, since he's been here, has been fantastic for the franchise, and he's done a lot of things. The only thing we have not gotten from him yet is a Super Bowl, which is something he's still trying to work on. So pay this man his money. In terms of what he's done for this team, in terms of the influence he has on the city of Baltimore, pay this man the money he deserves. Baltimore, you have to get this done. Lamar's in the situation at this point where either you pay him what he wants or he's going to play the season without a contract. So either you pay him what he wants or he's going to bet on himself. Do you really want that, Ravens? You were in this exact same situation a decade ago. Joe Flacco. He wanted a certain contract. He wanted a certain amount of money. You weren't willing to give it to him. This was back when we were still trying to figure out whether or not Flacco really was the guy. Despite what he was doing in those previous years, we still didn't know if Flacco was really that guy. And of course, he wanted a contract, and the Ravens were trying to figure that out. He wanted a certain amount of money. Ravens weren't willing to give that. They threw their deal out there. Flacco said, you know what? I'm not taking the deal you want to give me. I'm going to bet on myself this year in hopes that I can get a bigger contract next year. What ended up happening? Flacco and the Ravens went into the playoffs, had a crazy postseason run, got to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, and Joe Flacco was Super Bowl MVP. In that postseason, he posted 11 touchdowns and no picks. So he had one of the greatest postseason runs of all time and helped this Ravens franchise get a championship on Ray Lewis's last ride. After that, the Ravens had no choice but to pay Joe Flacco, and they made him the highest paid quarterback. They had no choice at the time. We knew Flacco didn't deserve to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. But after a postseason where he puts up that numbers, those type of numbers, 11 touchdowns, no picks, he outplays Peyton Manning in his house and then outplays Tom Brady in his house to get to the Super Bowl, and then he wins the Super Bowl. After that happens, you gotta pay the man. Even if he doesn't deserve that type of money, the Ravens had no choice but to pay Joe Flacco. Do you really want to be in that situation with Lamar? Lamar individually is already more accomplished than what Flacco's done. So if Lamar comes out here this season and does what Flacco does and helps take this team to a Super Bowl, the amount of money you're going to have to pay him is going to be staggering. And it's going to be even more difficult. Not to mention, here's another element to this. Next off season, the contract discussions will be centered around two players, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. Do you want Lamar to be within those conversations? And you know they're going to want to get some big time money. Do you want Lamar to be within those conversations? Do you really want to go into next year or next offseason with Lamar now being in a situation where you either have to give him a deal or you have to franchise tag him? Do you really want to be in that situation, Ravens? You have 3 days. Because trust me, once you franchise tag a quarterback, that relationship that he starts having with that franchise could get really dicey. And I don't want it to be a situation where you have Lamar Jackson playing on the franchise tag. That's the worst possible situation that we could have here. So, again, Ravens, do you really want to deal with all that? You have 3 days. You have 3 days to figure this out and get this extension done. Whatever Lamar Jackson, if you can find a way to get him to compromise, do so. If not, pay the man the money he deserves. Pay him his money, because you cannot afford to go into this season without Lamar having a contract. The headache it's going to bring, and especially when you get into next offseason, it's going to be very dicey. It'll be incredibly dicey if Lamar enters the offseason with no contract, because at that point, you're going to have to be forced to franchise tag him if you can't come to an agreement. And that's not something the Ravens want to do. So figure this out. Figure this out. You have 72 hours, Ravens. Figure this out. It's time to get the Lamar Jackson contract extension done. Get this figured out. You have 72 hours. 72 hours. Because again, once those guys step on the field on Monday, it's all business. It's go time. Season is here. The entire focus is about the New York Jets at that point. No one's trying to deal with contract talks. No one's trying to deal with none of that nonsense. When those players step on that field on Monday, the consensus is it's time to plan for the New York Jets. The season is getting ready to get started. So if the Ravens do not get this deal done within the next 3 days with Lamar Jackson, they're going to have to wait until the offseason next year, because I don't think it's a situation where Lamar is going to want to negotiate in the middle of the season. He already said his cutoff time is week 1. That may most likely be Monday, because he wants to spend the week focusing on preparing for the Jets. He doesn't want to deal with contract talks in the middle of that. Now, who knows? Maybe he'll still talk and he'll push the deadline all the way until the Saturday before the game. So you may have that entire week, the entirety of next week, all the way until the day before the week 1 game against the Jets. Maybe you'll have that time. But Lamar's words himself was the cutoff time was week 1. And week 1 technically starts Monday. everybody at that point is practicing for their first matchup. The regular season's basically starting then, because Thursday Night Football will be occurring at that point, and everybody's pretty much ready, and it's go time at that point. So if Monday is when everyone finally gets started to plan for their week 1 matchup, that means week 1 starts there, which means it most likely could be the cutoff for Lamar Jackson. And if that's the cutoff, that means you have 3 days to get this done. If you don't get this done, you're going to have to prepare to get it done in the offseason. And I'm not sure you want to do that, especially with Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. My bad, I'm really feeling it right now. I'm emotional. Especially with Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert in the background having their contract talks popping up next offseason. They're going to be the talk of the town. What are they going to get? What's their extensions going to look like? That's going to be next offseason. And I'm pretty sure the Ravens don't want to have Lamar mixed in that. So get it done. You have 3 days. You don't want this to go into the season. You don't want to deal with this there. Get it done now, Ravens. With that being said, that is all I got. I am very tired, man. Work is killing me, man. But it is what it is. That is all I've got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.